Okay, so last time we left off on the IPO is gone and banks had disbursed their funds. Promoters had put in their savings, but the project was still only half built. So most people at that point would have walked away and done something different, but you didn't. So why was that?
Uh, I think walking away at that stage would have meant that you have accepted a kind of a failure, which I thought at that time was a little premature because, yes, the project did not take off the way it was expected, but it was also because of certain circumstances which were beyond your control. So, obviously, the first instinct as an entrepreneur was to see how we can kind of survive and then take it forward.
Do you think that that is a necessary instinct for an entrepreneur to have, or sometimes should you be maybe a bit more critical of where you stand?
Well, yeah. So there is a practical aspect of things. There is an emotional aspect of things that you've started something, but I think it's giving up is easy. I mean, it's easy to kind of give up something that you've set out to. But I think there is. I personally think that it's worth when you have started something to at least try and work around situations. So these are I viewed that as a situation which has developed, and I was trying to kind of find solutions, and I think that's where I think whatever consulting experience that I've had is about solving problems. So we said, okay, this is a problem. Let's see how we can
And
solve
what
it.
did that look like in the next 1, 2, 3, maybe up to the next 5 years, post the failure of this IPO and when things were going differently? What was kind of like the big pressures and challenges, and how are you navigating those next few years?
Well, the next 5 years were, as I said, if I have to put it in one word, it was about survival. It was about trying to figure out how we can survive to last till the day. Like, you have this saying that, you need to live to fight another day. So it was actually like that, you're trying to figure out every day. Every day the challenges were about how do you maintain cash flows, because as I had mentioned, we had only 50% of our capacity which was installed, but the expenses were ongoing. The operational expenses had already started. So it was trying to find those very very at a micro level efficiencies, trying to see that okay, how you can stay afloat within the limited and very very limited resources that you had. So the pressure was enormous. I mean, it was like waking up every day and to see that what is going to happen today, where is the money coming in from, whether we will be able to maintain our production, whether we'll be able to, if the sales, and it was so sensitive, like if the certain sales did not take place on a particular day, then that money will not flow in, so the cash flow will get affected. So it was all about maintaining, somehow trying to manage your cash flows and staying afloat.
I read somewhere recently that a good entrepreneur would be someone who's willing to do this work without making any profit for a long time. Like someone who's kind of willing to accept that maybe for many years it won't be profitable. Do you think that's true, and is that kind of what was happening for you over here?
Oh yeah, for most certainly. I mean, the profitability and earning from the venture was one of the lesser concerns that we had at that point of time, because the idea was that whatever investment had already gone in, and which was the promoters' money, some of the banks' money, that needed to be safeguarded, and then we needed to create something or reach a stage where we can actually start building on that. So yes, it does take a backseat. Although I would say, and again, I think this is a part of entrepreneurship, that once you decide to take a plunge, obviously there is nothing called a fixed income which comes in, which was there when you are working in a company and when you are on a salary. There is a fixed income flow which comes in irrespective of the circumstances outside. Well, that is not the case with entrepreneurship. You are dependent on that very project that you are trying to build for creating your own income, and that's where I would say that there are many lessons how to kind of create, keep some wealth aside to maintain some kind of cash flow. All those things are there, which we can discuss as we move forward. But yes, at that time it did take a back seat.
And do you feel like at times you were holding on because of this desire to be an entrepreneur or knowing that it's the right decision, or was it sometimes just emotional attachment? And how does one distinguish between these two? Because this kind of applies in like so many scenarios in life, and especially like as you're growing older or you're in college. I mean, I've seen similar scenarios, whether it's with work or applying to colleges or doing a certain major or doing certain courses. Sometimes it's friendships and relationships that you hold on to beyond what you should. Because, like you said, stepping away many times feels like failure, but I don't think it always has to be. Sometimes it's the right decision to make and maybe the harder decision to make.
Sure, sure. The only difference between, I think for entrepreneurship is that once you have invested a lot of your time and money, you will try to find a way around building on it. Because okay, so let's see what are the options. Like, I mean, so if you say that practically you feel that at that point of time the project is not viable, you've come to that conclusion through one way or the other. Now there are two paths. One is that you conclude that the project is not viable. The other is, how do I make it viable and make it work? Now this is a tougher path to follow, for sure. But that is something at that point of time, based on my education and the upbringing and the colleges that I had been to. We've seen failure. It's not that we've not seen failure at all in our lives. Normally and academically you do. So for example, in my time, I had when I was doing the MBA, I had got calls from all the IIMs. And at that time, Ahmedabad was clearly used to be number one, the business school. So while I got a call from IIM Ahmedabad, but after the interview, I knew that it had not gone well. So I did not get admission to IIM Ahmedabad. Well, of course, I got Bangalore and then I got Calcutta, but those are things which you have to learn to live with. Similarly, for entrepreneurship, I'm sure in your days in school also you would have come across circumstances where things did not work out. I think, but it's worth a try before you. Yeah, it's a fine line between over going overboard in terms of not being able to come back or recover from it, to a point where you do give it your best shot and try that something can work out. So I think I was on that stage where I did have some hope that in eventually it can work out if we are able to create certain circumstances around it.
I think that's true, that trying and obviously committing to something means that you're investing time and effort into it. But that also comes with opportunity costs. I'm sure there were other things you considered doing during that time, maybe another business idea, maybe a job that you could have gotten at that time. So what were like some of your biggest opportunity costs?
So this was also the time we should, where the personal life also comes in. This was also the time when I actually got married. So yes, that it obviously changes perspective, because you also have now a partner, and then you have your lives are kind of interdependent. So I think jointly we had set ourselves a kind of a timeline that okay, let's work till for the next 2 years, or the certain timeline, that if it doesn't work out till then I can go back to my job, because both of us were qualified. So that, I think, the insecurity wasn't there that you can always go back to the job because of our qualifications. But in between, we also came across this whole .com era, which was the 2000s, when we were actually there was this whole .com boom which had come up. So
Which is e-commerce and online
so
platforms.
it's where actually the website started building up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
.com was actually the website wave, and then of course trying to do commerce through it. But of course there was no e-commerce at that time. There was no mobile commerce at that time. So, so my wife and I mean your mom and I, we had started this venture called beautymantra.com. which was again like a vertical on the beauty industry, where we uh, thought that we could actually, beauty is a kind of a technical industry where people need to know their skin tones and like what works on their skin, and also we, while educating them, trying to sell products. um, yeah, so we did start that, but it at a certain time, we did not know how to take it forward. We were getting some traction, but as I said, it was there was no e-commerce at that time. There was no platforms. There were no mobile commerce. So I think the idea was a little ahead of its time. Today, of course, we have a lot of these beauty verticals that have come up and they're doing extremely well. So I think one of the learnings we had from that venture, I would say, is that while the idea could be good, the timing of the idea is equally critical. So it has to be at the right time, or you should have the perseverance to see to it till the time that the timing becomes right. So I think because so at that point of time we did toy with that idea.
Okay, so let's go back to the yarn project where we left off. What actually ended up happening? I mean, how did you move forward once you decided that that's something you want to stick to?
So around that time, I think what we did was that when we managed to stay afloat some way or the other, but we managed to get some relief in the by way of additional funding from the banks itself, who had already partially invested in the project, and then we were able to slightly move forward. Now, once we had that resource available with us, I think the change which happened was that the entire focus on vision was changed to getting efficiency. That how do we make the best use of that money, and how do we so then we we started by plugging in all the bottlenecks. How do we release capacity, how do we increase efficiency? So the power situation in Punjab, because this project was in Punjab, was very very bad at that time. It was power was scarce. So we set up, and spinning unit always requires, it's a complete 24/7 operation. So power is one of the critical components. So we actually set up a furnace oil based plant using that money. We added certain debottlenecked a lot of capacity, and then slowly move forward. So we were able to complete the original capacity that we had set up after 5 years. So obviously after that whole struggle, we were able to move forward by getting this additional relief from the banks.
So in this case, operations is what saved the business.
For sure.
But is that a long-term solution, or is that more of a short-term solution?
So I would say any business operations always has to be a focus, but more so in commodity driven businesses. So again, it's a nature of business that you are in. Certain businesses are driven by operations, and commodity and manufacturing businesses will become are largely part of that category of businesses. So that focus always remains, but of course there are other inputs and factors which also go in for creating a kind of a successful enterprise.
If you had to summarize one big learning from this episode for any young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs watching, what would that be?
I would say that one, of course, as I had said in the last episode also, please, we need to expect the unexpected. Things may not work out the way in most of the cases it may not. Always we should have a plan B. And one of the biggest learnings as an entrepreneur on a personal level, I would say, is that do compartmentalize the project. Don't make it part of your life, as in don't be completely dependent on that one project to lead your life. So you have to have some form of income which is generated outside the project. And while you are at the project, operational efficiency and the focus and control should always remain, because you can squeeze out some efficiencies even from within limited resources. You need to be ready to pursue, and perseverance of course matters. So if you believe in the idea, remain true and honest to it, and I think at some point of time things do open up, there will be opportunities which will come up. And the other thing, of course, by the Beauty Mantra project is that be very sure if the timing of your idea is right or not.
Okay, thank you.